Anytime you put the name of something in front of something else, you're telling them ownership.
Ownership, exactly.
Scotiabank Festival means it owns it.
The aims and the goals are being modified to reflect more or less an opportunity to make money. So I thought maybe if I were to bring a few of the original members that started the festival to pool our ideas on what we think this festival should be, how we would have liked future generations to look at the festival and remember the history, which is so important. And I think over the years, it seems like the commercialization of this festival has taken away some of the history, the reason why we did what we did. And I thought maybe we could be sort of a resource for many of the principals running the festival now, if they would like to invite our ideas and so forth.
I'm glad to see that we have accomplished so much over the years. The present controversy with the new organization that is taken over is somewhat disturbing, because I think that from now on we should be moving together with this organization to fulfill the dreams that we had, not only for Canada, but for all peoples who live in Canada and in Toronto in particular.
I have heard that a lot of people are disappointed, and they're saying they're not coming back to the parade. And one of the reasons is it's become so commercialized, and now they're charging people to come and watch this parade. And they don't feel that that's fair.
Everything, you must crunch numbers. Everything is you crunch numbers. Everything is about money in this country. If you don't think money, then don't think at all.
CAG, that inherits the festival, they have no money. They're still trying to keep the Caribana trademark alive. Mm-hmm. They ran 2 Flags and Colors festival in Jane Finch. They involved the community involved. They got the community involved. They got the children, more important, the children in the community involved. By providing costumes for them for $20, $5 last year and $20 this year. So this is the first time that those children in that neighborhood have a chance to participate in a festival that has been coming to their neighborhood for the last 15 years. Can you imagine? So when you talk about giving back to the community, what community are you referring to?
We all came up with the idea of naming this festival Caribana. It was the name that reflected the true intent and purpose of the celebration, which was a celebration by individuals from the West Indies and from the Caribbean in particular, to be more specific. And hence, Caribana started.
I am a masquerader. I love it. I did it in Trinidad. And coming here, I always went back every carnival. I'm on that plane going to Trinidad. Paul Shepherd was my very, very dear friend. And we always met together from time to time and talked about what we would have liked to see happen, a carnival coming here in the summertime. And since then, I have been with Caribana as a person playing mass, making mass, liaison with all the mass men, all the band leaders, I knew every one of them. But I've always told my children that I want them to be very much into the culture, especially the heritage of Trinidad and Tobago. It's important to me.
In 1965 was my first trip to Trinidad and Tobago, and I fell absolutely in love with the culture, especially the music. Then in 1969 I met Paul Shepard, who eventually became my brother-in-law, and when he found out I could sew, he was putting together a mass band, him along with his partner Victor Sankar. And when he found out I could sew, he said, "Would you come and help us make costumes?" I said, "Okay, I will do that." And then he invited me to play in his band that was called Flags of the Caribbean. And each section represented a different island. I was in the Trinidad section. I made the king costume for that band. And I had a wonderful time. And I lived in a white community in Mississauga at the time, and all my neighbors couldn't understand why I wanted to join in this band. But I had never any regrets. I had a most wonderful time, and it's the best time I ever had was the first Caribana in '67.
We danced all the way down Young Street. It was really a lot of fun then. I still see people having fun at Caribana time. I will continue to call it Caribana in spite of what other people call it now. And I don't think that aspect of the festival is going to be taken away from us.
As for the judging, I may be stupid, but I think that we can have roving judges because the bands take a lot of time on the stage. It's not just dancing, going off the stage. They've got choreography now. Now, mass is not choreography. It's just a combustion, spontaneous thing. You do what you want when you hear the music. But now, each section, they have to have a commentary. And that takes up time, you know. And it's very unfair that only the big bands get to go down early and show up their self and costumes and so on, and the little people at the back is not getting any play.
I understand that 5 bands were left behind this year. That's
year.
cruel. That's unfair. That the bands didn't get an opportunity to portray what they wanted to portray. What I saw in Trinidad, where the big carnival events take place on the stage, that they have devised a method of getting the masqueraders to move quickly across the stage by having people like pushers to move a section. A whole line of pushers would move the section off the stage so that the masqueraders cannot run back and spend more time on the stage. This is one method that is very effectively used in Trinidad, and I don't know if it's used here on the stage in Toronto.
You see, Auntie Joan always talk about knowing your heritage, knowing the past determines the future. And if you have any slight understanding of a calypsonian, a steel band man, and a mass man, from the early days, it was always the low life, the downtrodden, and people fought and lose their lives to beat pan. People fought and lose their life to sing calypso. People's parents put them out to play mass.
I think that going down on the lake shore, it's a good idea, but I think that they have also outgrown the parade. We have a lot of sections in different bands, and that takes up a lot of time. We are trying to fit 12, 13 bands within a very short period, and then we also want the steel band on the road. We want the big trucks on the road. The people who pay to see the mass are not really seeing the mass. They're seeing people told me that they sat there, they paid 15 for seniors, 20 for adults, and they were just seeing big trucks on the road, and over the trucks they were seeing these little fellas going along, you know. So I don't know what's the solution for that.
I will really love to see, you know, on a Sunday evening, like back home, yeah, you know, at the mass camp, every pre-Caribana, they have different Calypsonian singing at different mass camps. This is the direction we should go in. Have one or two shows. They say, well, you know, I'm Cara singing by Sally, or he's by this mass camp this evening. And it would give a kind of energy, and people would know that, you know, Caribana coming, the season coming around, and you know, this is a good song. Come down by this mass camp next week at this mass camp, and that would help build the momentum and the enthusiasm and the love that Caribana is supposed to portray, that we all could stay and enjoy ourselves under one umbrella, so that when the older folks passed on, you know, you leave a legacy of harmony, friendship.
We have all these island associations, and I think they should be part of this festival in terms of contribution. And I really think they should also benefit from some of the profits and the funds being earned, so that their associations can progress. It was my feeling in '67 that Caribana would be the sort of umbrella organization for all these various island associations to participate in. And I think if we were able to get them to come together and support this event, then we wouldn't be worried about any corporate takeover or anything like that. So I think it's up to us to encourage our various island associations to get involved. And that's one of the main reasons why I feel that supporting CAG and encouraging them to keep the Caribana brand alive, that somewhere down the road, I think we'll get some unification.
Let us start with the Consul Generals from each country and start to promote this unity. Let us start with the Consul Generals, and then the different organizations under these countries, different countries would be more welcome to fall in line. Because Caribana is really a people festival, and if we have to move forward, my goodly friend on the end there, what's his name again? George. He said it right. He said we have to incorporate white Canadians. It's not a Caribbean festival anymore. Caribbean people but we have to bring in, right, that other aspect of Canada and have that finish the melting pot, that both black, white, and indifferent is taking part in this festival to make it a success.
In 1968, I took a trip to the Quebec Winter Carnival. And I don't know if anyone here has been to the Quebec Winter Carnival, but it is cold as hell, very cold. And I have never seen people enjoy themselves so much in cold weather. So I came back to the guys at the office and I said, listen, Caribana will never die. I see people having too much fun in winter. We got to have more fun in the summer. And that was basically it. But I said, we've got to do two things. First of all, we have to learn to run the program. And I don't think we've come close to it. I said it would take us maybe 30 years to learn to do it properly. And second, you've got to include all Canadians. And so far, part of it has been done, but not everything has been done. So I think that what we need to do is to have a second good look at what Caribana can be. Don't forget, when I saw the Winter Carnival, it was almost 100 years old. So why are we worrying about 46 years in the program? You know what I mean? So we've got lots of time to make it work.
Let Toronto feel the pinch for Caribana for 1 year. Move it to Windsor. It's close to the border. Get the mayor of Windsor to link with Detroit and these people just across the border and market it well and see how much money they make and then come back to Toronto the following year. I bet you we have a change of heart of a lot of people. And I am for that. Move it to Windsor. Go to the mayor of Windsor. Go to the mayor of Windsor and get organized. Listen, Toronto have endless trucks. Endless trucks. We could transport everything to Windsor. And generate enough funds. And say, listen, the bands, we paying for your transport. The mayor of Windsor, they're going to market it well, and then they're going to make a statement. Well, you know what? Caribana has injected 500 and something million into Windsor. I bet you the following year they want it back. They want it back the next year because you know what? They lose. They lose.
Well, I think your point is well taken. I don't know if Toronto would let Caribana go to Windsor, for instance. All right, I don't know if it would. But you might be able to use a ploy in which they will think so.
Our costumes are now being made in China. They are being manufactured out into other places in the world, you know. We bring them here and just decorate them. But they're not really made in Canada as before. People are not getting on the sewing machines and being creative. I don't believe bikini and beads and feathers are creativity, you know. You could go to Victoria's Secrets and buy bikinis and, you know, you can go to La Via Rose and buy those things. And here we are giving our, you know, our mass costumes all the way in China and India, and having to pay duty on top of that when they arrive here. So to me, you know, that part of the culture, I think it's not really handed out to our children.
I would suggest that CAG approach FMC with the understanding that they want to see how you can get the Caribana name into the parade. That's the first thing. The second thing I would suggest is that we name a street in Toronto after Caribana, because we don't have anything. We name streets after postmen and, you know, everybody except people who make sense. So let's get Caribana's name out there, and the publicity will come eventually, unless you get the right people to do it for you.
Actually, somebody had said that maybe Eglinton and Oakwood should have been given the Caribana name, you know, because there was a lot of entrepreneurs from the West Indies that has businesses also. And Cheer magazine was born up there. That's where the first Cheer magazine started operating on Eglinton, close to Oakwood.
But the point is you got to have good marketing for Caribana. So you need to get somebody who will do good marketing for you. We don't have good marketing. We need to get good marketing. But other than that, we're doing okay. I mean, we put 1 million people in the city. We put $480 million in the city's coffers. So we should be happy, you know. We shouldn't be sad about anything. We have produced the best fair in the last 50 years in Toronto. There's nothing that comes close to it. So we should be happy.
We have to learn the economics. Which is the engine that drives this economy? Why is it Scotiabank involved with Caribbean Carnival Festival? Why? I want everybody to sit and think about that. Why is Scotiabank involved? It's all about money, nothing else. And if we fall into the trap of divide and conquer, we will continue to be paupers, taking crumbs off the floor and not getting anywhere.
Ska, mental, folk music, some of our own calypsos naturally. traditional calypsos. These things from the days gone by, they have value today. We have a range in terms of music. We have a range in terms of costumes, characters that don't have to be there every day, but they can, or every year, but they can be brought back. They are a part of what this organization, this festival was founded on.
The FMC was struggling, they were short of money and what to do. They were offering CAD 40,000 to use the name. Okay, and I said, after I have a question, keep the 40,000 and let them put the name where the sun don't shine. Okay? The part about, don't care what you call the parade, people are gonna come. They come in Caribana. The part about is, the name was never in question. The band leaders, everything is money. We tried going to Windsor. There was a proper Windsor. It take money from here to there. We went to Detroit, we went to Buffalo, etc., etc. I went all over the world in Carnival. Everything cost money. The band leaders went behind the government, and the government gave us money. Out of the money they gave to the mass men, Dalma Hill took a portion to give the steel band and the Californians. So when you say the mass men, don't support them. The money that we get right now from government came to the mass men. We went to government to get that money. Okay. And out of that, we only get a portion, because Dalma Hill decided to, everybody should get in the pie.
We have never received a penny to this day from FMC for the use of the name Caribana. So yes, we're in court, and a lot of people want to hang us for that. But again, you have to remember, as for me, I felt, and the directors felt at the time, that we inherited a sacred trust, and we would do everything in our power to honor those people who put everything on the line for this festival. And that is the stand we took. No malice, no prejudice, no hatred. I've been vilified, but that's the price of leadership. This year, gone down in history as the worst Caribana ever, the move that the city has made, think about it, to force the community to pay to go to the CNE in that area, the hill where families used to go. I mean, you think about it, a family, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, you're looking at over $100 just to enter the CNE. Whitfield, with all due respect, you try to make a case for it. Let us flip that around. Nobody, I don't care what anybody says, but you can't tell me a community, a festival that brings in $500 million to this city, we have not to make the people pay again to no. And it is not sustainable, Whitfield. It is not.
I had around 300 people in my band this year. It cost me a package, it cost me about 100,000 to put my band on the road. If we could cover these costs, yes, the money we get from the government is peanuts, and I totally agree, okay? But who do we have to give us that money? Where do we get it from? For the mass men to do something, the first thing they're thinking about, unfortunately, is to cover the expenses.
Among the mass band community, Whitfield is probably the most outspoken among the mass band on fairness, on decorum, on what is displayed as an art and as a culture. And I can tell you he's among the minority because
I must say I'm not a minority.
Okay. In the mass band community,
He's one of the few.
he's one of the few that try to display us the way we know we are,
That's right.
and not for the sake of the almighty dollar. Okay?
This year.
So, and because of that, I know that he's being penalized because people are not going to run to play mass in his band if they have to cover up as much as they have to cover up, because he wants to show culture as it is. He wants to show it with decorum. He wants not with class and everything. And rather than encouraging him and supporting him, then he never gets the recognition. And the size of the band should not always be a criteria for winning the competition.
See, what we have done is we have isolated ourselves into groups. Pan, Calypso, Mass, and then the organization that runs the festival. And everybody is looking for a piece of the pie for themselves, without recognizing the fact that by fighting amongst ourselves, we allow whoever is the enemy out there to come in and take over and run the show. Like I said earlier today, Scotiabank never was involved with Caribana. We tried to get money from Scotiabank. They wouldn't give us a penny. We promised them all kinds of things. They wouldn't give us a penny. But as soon as Caravan came on the scene, Caravan was getting money from the city, from all these organizations, banks, and other institutions. When Royal Bank gave us money, CIBC said, no, we don't want to compete with another bank. Now they're teaching us a lesson. They wouldn't compete with another bank, but we are competing amongst ourselves. So here we are, fighting to get the few crumbs that have fallen off the table to put on a festival, and we ended up putting our hands in our pockets to finance it. And that's what you were saying earlier about how we have allowed ourselves to be fooled into thinking we're going to get a bigger piece of the pie.
The band leaders have sided with FMC. They've deprived CAG of a means of income. We have no money to pay.
The festival has always been underfunded. Anyone who sat in the chair, the seat of the chair, will tell you that Caribana has never been properly funded. I've heard many chairmen say it. I've interviewed probably all of them. We need to get that on the street. That does not come out. People are ready to point the finger and say who did wrong, who didn't do right, but nobody takes the time and the pride to express the good things that have come out of this.
This year, Illuminato's budget, I understand, I read it in the paper, was 11 million. So they went from 3 to 11. Do you think Illuminato is, as an organization, is bringing into the coffers the type of money that Caribana is? No. Okay, so the point is that while we're fighting among each other for the little bit that we're getting, okay, we're not recognizing the fact that other groups are prospering. And I think until we get together and come back to some sort of a unification, we're not going to succeed.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The time has come, we have to stop as a community from begging. We have contributed billions of dollars to this economy, not millions, billions.
44.
As you mentioned, everything is money. Prices are going to go up. We know that. However, this city, the business community, has never, and today I'm even more convinced of that after hearing these founders, they've never, ever, ever, ever funded this festival to the extent it deserves.
Listen, they added up all the groups. Nude Blanche, what's the name of the group you called earlier?
Illuminato.
Right? Illuminato. All the other groups. Art Festival, all of them. When you add it all up, it didn't come to what Caribana generated in this economy. Yet we're still not being recognized for what we are doing because we are not playing the game right. You have to play the game right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the name Caribana, some have implied that it will have lost its value. 2011, it will have lost its value. Some said after 2 years nobody will remember the name and different things. And I know Whitfield was upset when he said, well, he could take the name and, you know, was it you who said that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, but that's cool. I understand where that came from. But the name Caribana is one of the biggest branding, one of the most successful branding stories in the last 50 years. Don't let anybody tell you different. And here's how I'll explain it. Around the world, when the word Caribana is mentioned, people know it's in the summer, it's the time, it's in the city of Toronto, that's the place. It's a Caribbean type festival, that's what it is. Some might know it comes out of the tradition of slavery and the interaction of Africans and Europeans and so on. And it's a festival that has costumes and music and so on. So you have the 5 W's and the H. The current name you have, Scotiabank, Caribbean Carnival, Toronto, whatever the case might be.
4-letter word.
It is almost impossible to market. The name is too long. In branding, nobody could even remember the name most of the time. What do they remember? Scotiabank. So from Scotiabank's perspective, it is great.
Just except when there's a shooting.
That's what I was. From their perspective, it works. From our perspective, it's a loser. The name Caribana, and I would go down to saying this, the name Caribana still has a lot of value, a lot of currency, and we would be fools to allow anybody to tell us different and accept it. We have to take that name and continue to build on it no matter what, find different ways to come through with it. The name Caribana, it will go on and on and on as long as we understand the value and we understand branding and marketing.
And one year, somebody came up with a bright idea of saying, let's ask the city, metro, the province for $3 million. And if we don't get it, no Caribana. Everybody, you crazy, you can't do that. Because what they will do is, they will get 1 or 2 people to go to the band leaders, give them $500,000, $250,000, whatever, and they'll put out the mass because they're getting paid, because Whitfield says, money talks. But if we cancel Caribana that 1 year, I bet you any money, as you say, you put on a show for the money that they give you. So if they see it's going downhill, they'll come up with money to give you to bring it back up. The founders put their hands in their pockets for 4 years to finance Caribana when the banks wouldn't give us a penny.
They've lost their houses and their
And one, I ain't getting into that. I stay out of that. That's courthouse business. That's courthouse business. But I remember one director lending Caribana on a personal check the sum of $25,000. Okay? So I know from history that we have dug ourselves in our hands, in our pockets, to keep it afloat when nobody would give us a penny.
Right.
So that is a tradition that I'm happy to applaud Henry for, that he kept by putting his card, or as they say, walk the walk and talk the talk.
This year, Steel Band been blamed for a lot. And Whitfield, I know I'm looking at you because I'm not saying you're here to represent flash band leaders. I'm not saying you're here to represent them. But this is a very dangerous move because remember, I think it was John Donne who said, ask not for whom the bell tolls.
Right.
Today it might be the steel bands.
or somebody else.
And it may be a sense of foreboding. You of all people this year, you got shut out, couldn't go down the road. And I know whether it's the police or, okay. But look at it very carefully. It's always bit by bit. And if they could get the steel bands off the road,
And they'll get the next group of
what's next? And what's next?
And what I heard today here gave me a lot of good feeling that all of these folks here who pass some production time are now willing to really do so. It's never too late. And this is the time that we should again take over and drive this thing, because we can do it. You know, I don't want to talk about myself. I travel a lot. I go to Africa once a month to do some work, and we do things. The African, you talk about minorities, etc. It's the richest place in the world.
It is.
It is the richest place in the world. We have taken Caribana to places like Hong Kong and so on. You look today and see the Chinese and Japanese doing all of these things. And therefore, we have the time now to do something. Let's do it. I am happy to be part of this. I'm going to, although I go to other places often, I will give my time to do this. Let's do it. Father, thank you.
All right. All right.
I've been involved also with this Caribana from 1966 as one of the founding members, and I'm also happy to see that it has grown in leaps and bounds to the point where now it's sort of outgrown our ability to manage it and control it. But that doesn't mean that we should be put to the wayside. And thank you very much, and it's going to be business as usual. So these t-shirts were produced by the Arts Group Foundation. They inherit Caribana. They've taken over what we have started. We would like Caribana to remain, and I know a lot of people have said, well, even if they change the name, it doesn't matter. We all know it's Caribana. That is true, we know it, but 200 years from now, we won't be here to say we know it. Therefore, we have to find ways and means to keep it alive. And I think we can cause the funders, the now funders who feel that they can just push us aside, to rethink